Good morning, everybody. I hope that you can hear me because I'm going to present the Master in Political Science delivered by the University of Geneva. This will be in English, as you can hear. I will try to be as short as possible. And I'm going first to share my screen. Please let me know if you don't hear or if you don't see the share screen, which it should now be visible. Okay. So this is the Master in Political Science. This is delivered by the University of Geneva, the School of Social Science, and more specifically by the Department of Political Science and International Relations. I'm Marco Giugni. I'm responsible for this program. And I will try to present you the main lines of what we offer to our students and potential students. So the first question is probably why one should apply for the Master in Political Science. I mean, to our Master in Political Science, obviously. There are a number of reasons. Well, the first is that it's a way to improve the knowledge, to get a little bit farther than what you have learned or you are learning in your bachelor or previous studies in any during the basic training, the bachelor, most of the time, but not necessarily. One can also choose to do a second master, for example, if he or she has already one. The second one is that, and this is linked to one of our main goals, which is to have our students developing analytical and research skills, as well as the ability to solve problems. This is particularly important because it makes the difference between the bachelor studies and the master studies, at least in our university. When you go to the master, it becomes more practical. I will say a little bit more maybe later on this. It will become a little bit more practical, as I said, also more research oriented. Many of our classes are based on the research projects carried out by the teachers, like myself, for example. So this is an important characteristic of our master. Obviously, a reason is to prepare the following of the professional curriculum, so to prepare the entry either for most of you, I imagine, into the labor market. That's why the practical side is very important, or the pragmatic side is very important. And some will continue the academic career with a PhD, a doctorate, and then possibly a position within academia in Switzerland or elsewhere. What are the strengths of what we believe are the strengths of our program? One is that we offer a rich and diversified or diverse offer range of courses. I will say a little bit more later on, more specifically on what we have to offer in this sense. Obviously, you can also consult the plan d'études, the program, which is on the website of the faculty and the dedicated website of the master. So this offer of courses ranges from political theory to international political relations, for example, international political economy, to courses on voting behavior, on social movements, which is my specialty, for example, and so on and so on. We have and we give a strong international orientation to our study. Of course, we are in Geneva, one of the most international cities, I would say, in the world, for sure in Switzerland. And we also have the chance to have in our university an institute dedicated to international relations studies and European studies. So we have embedded our master in a very international context, I would say. This is probably quite obvious. Is our teachings are grounded in current news and events, so we are trying to talk to our students about what's going on, whether the pandemic and its consequences or any other issues. For example, in my class on social movements, I try to give examples of the most recent and current social movements, but not only, of course, the historical look is also important. But to stress here is the fact that we are well aware that a teaching in our master, as any other teaching actually, must be grounded in current events and what happens in the world. The strong practical orientation I already mentioned. That's something that I would like to stress again, because it's a very important characteristic of our master. We are trying to give our students the instruments to solve problems, as I said. So not only theories, not only notions, these are, in my view, very important, obviously, but what we are trying to do is that we give the instruments so that then students can then solve specific problems. This is also another important characteristic. We offer a personalized and interactive supervision. We have a number of students that allows us to do so still. I think our master has about 90 probably students enrolled at a time in the different years or semesters. And the classes range between, I would say, 5 and 30 at the very maximum, I would say, or a little bit more for some of the courses probably. But most of the classes are made of a number of students that allows, as I said, a personalized and especially an interactive supervision or an interactive dynamics in classes. So it's not that, like in the bachelor studies, what you do is you listen to the professor speaking and then you take notes. And here the idea is that you do something more than write your notes or take notes. This relates back to the idea of the practical orientations, not only giving notions and theories and so on. So that's very important, I think. You learn by doing. Focused on vocational guidance. I don't remember exactly what this means, but it's related to what I just said. I will skip this one. This was a video where we show how our former students are, the extent to which our former students are happy about their studies. So they are speaking amongst each other and then they say, wow, it's fantastic and so on. So I'm skipping this. So the master in political science is what we call a specialized generalist degree, sort of oxymoron, but it points to the fact that it's still a generalist because it's not a master on something very specific. It's still political science, but at the same time, you are specializing within political science. And I will say a little bit more later about in which field you can specialize. So it's a consecutive disciplinary degree, so political science, obviously. So if you did your bachelor or any other, actually, because you can also come from other disciplines, of course, sociology, geography, still others. But the main idea is that you come from political science from a bachelor, and then you continue, you complete your studies in political science with a master, and if you want, you can also go, as I said, further with that doctorate. So that's the idea of the specialization. Within political science, our master focus on 3 sub-disciplines, which are, I think, very important today as they were in the past, and as I think they will be in the future. Political behavior, and I will spell out a little bit more in the next slide what we mean by that, what kind of aspects are addressed. International and comparative politics. I mentioned that the master is embedded in this international context, and one of the sub-disciplines is international and comparative politics, which is actually the most popular among our students, I have to say. And then, very important, political theory. I think we are on one of the only places in Switzerland where you can study political theory in a thorough way. So specializing actually in political theory, which is also very important. And what is important here to say is that when you are enrolled in our master, you will have to choose one or the other of these three disciplines or sub-disciplines. So you will be in the Master in Political Science with a specialization in political behavior, or with an orientation in political behavior, international comparative politics, or in political theory. Although you can also choose classes from the other orientations once you have chosen yours. So political behavior, rapidly, quickly, elections, so the classes and the teachings deal with elections and voting, obviously, opinion formation, how the opinion is formed and how it informs the voting behavior of citizens. Then also anything that has to do with the role of media, the political parties, obviously, political communication, which is a sub-discipline by itself, but we will deal also with this aspect to some extent. And then, as I said, social movements, contentious politics, protest behavior, and so on. International comparative politics. International, I imagine you know, international negotiations and domestic politics, and the relationship between domestic politics as international governance or international relations, including diplomacy, and so on and so on. What is called comparative and international political economy, which is a very important, I would say, growing subfield in the discipline of political science and international relations. Globalization, this term that we have been hearing for in the last now 20 years, I would say, and global governance, so everything which has to do with the rise of globalization and the impacts and the implications of globalization on different aspects, including on social movements, to speak about what I teach, how globalization affects also protest behavior, for example. And international organizations, the role of international organizations, there are so many in Geneva, and of course, again, Geneva is probably the best place to study the role of international organizations. Areas, what is called area studies also belong to these orientations. So by area studies, we intend research and studies at a focus which is on a specific geographical area of the world, like Europe for European studies, the Middle East, for example, Africa, part of the world. A political theory, lots of important issues, obviously, in political theory, multiculturalism and democracy, and the relationship between multiculturalism and democracy is at the heart of what we offer in political theory. Theories of justice, which is the main issues in political theory, is also very important. Post-colonial approaches and gender. It's also something that we offer in our classes, in our program. And of course, last but not least, I would say in political theories, citizenship and the theories of citizenship, it's a fundamental aspect. And I could go on and on and on. What are the career opportunities? Based on where our students will go, we see our students going obviously in public administration, international organizations, NGOs, civil society organizations, I would add, but also bank and insurance to some extent, although it used to be more, now it's less so. Written, audiovisual, and electronic media, so the media. Some of our students are speakers in the national televisions, in the TSR, and so on. Communications, public relations, Human resources also is a place where people coming from political science often go. Civil society organization, the associative sector, political parties, of course, you can become consultant of a political parties, of a political party, and so on and so on. And obviously there is also, for those continuing teaching and research, not only in academia, but also in academia, if you go on to the doctor. I will skip this one. This is in the press. Now it's a bit outdated. It's 2016. It was an article in the Tribune de Genève, newspaper in Geneva, local newspaper, where they showed findings, or they showed results of a survey where they saw that most of our students actually, and most of the students more generally from Geneva master's programs, find relatively easily, I would say, a job. The structure, I will now spend the rest of the time on the structure, so becoming a little bit more specific, starting from this sort of triangle which I created of our study plan, which I think is flexible, varied, or has lots of variation. I don't know if the word is correct, and is also rich, as I said at the beginning. So the general structure is the following. This is a 90 credits program, which you have to do over 3 to 5 semesters. So you can do it in 3 semesters if you are quick, or you can do it in 5 semesters if you want to take more time, if you have to work besides the studies and so on. You have the possibility, which we encourage very much, to do a semester in another university abroad, so an exchange semester. I have to say that right now the relationship between Switzerland and the European Union doesn't really encourage this aspect, but for us it's very important actually that our students do some experience, and for the students themselves it's even more important, obviously. At the end of your studies, you will have to write a thesis, a master's thesis, which is usually about 80 pages or something like that. But you can also choose, in alternative, to do an internship, stage, as we call it, which is a professionalizing internship, and then you will write a shorter thesis, memoir de stage, we call it, which is linked to your internship. So you can choose either one. If you are more in the academic side, you go for a master thesis, probably more traditional. If you are more for the job market and you want to take the opportunity of the internship to already get into the labor market to some extent, you will probably choose to do an internship. More and more of our students actually choose to do the internship, I would say. But the important thing is that you have the choice between the two. Languages, mostly in French. We have some classes which are increasing in number in English, but still most of the classes are done in French. But even if the classes are done in French, students can always express themselves in English in any of the classes. So, of course, you need to show some French skills. I think formally you even need to have some kind of French diploma, I don't know. But English is always a language that can be used in some way. And most of the readings, at least in my classes, but I think it's the same for many other classes, are English-based, so Anglo-Saxon. What is the distribution of the credits, of these 90 credits I mentioned before? Well, you have 3 compulsory courses to choose in the sub-discipline, so political behavior, international comparative politics, or political theory. So each course gives you 6 credits. There are a few exceptions maybe of courses that still give 3 credits, but most of the time courses gives 6 credits. So this is for 18 credits. So for example, if you choose political behavior, you will have to follow a class on social movements, my class actually. You will have then to choose a class on voting behavior and still another one on party politics, I think. but just an example. Then you have 2 compulsory methods courses, 12 credits, one in quantitative methods and one in qualitative methods. We give a lot of importance to methodology, not only within the courses, but obviously we have dedicated courses. So that's why these courses are compulsory, actually, so these method courses. There is an exception which I'd like to mention. If you are in political theory, you don't have to choose both methodological courses. You choose one, and then you have a specific course in methodology for political theorists. But that's detailed. And then you have 24 plus 6 credits of optional courses that you can choose as you wish. So 20 credits, 24 credits have to be chosen in our list of courses, so the list that we offer in the Master of Political Science. That's where you can choose from the other orientations. If you are, for example, in political behavior, but you are interested in political theory, you can choose the compulsory courses for political theory orientation. You can choose it as an option for your political behavior. So that's the flexibility I was mentioning before. So 24 credits, so four classes, and then one course, 6 credits of free options, even in another faculty, the university, or I think even out of the university, as far as I remember correctly. That's not much, but you have the flexibility in the 24 credits that you can choose within our list of courses, which, as I said, is quite rich. Actually, we offer a lot of courses, maybe even too many. And then 30 credits, of which 6 are for the research colloquium, are for the thesis or the internship. So I mentioned before, no, you can have the traditional thesis, master thesis, final work, or you can choose the internship, and then this will give you 30 credits. In both cases, you will have to follow a course which is called research colloquium, which is made to carry you during the stages of your mémoire de stage, so internship thesis. That's also an important part, I think, of our program. That's a little bit part of this individualized supervision that I mentioned at the beginning. Finally, some formal aspects. Admission is direct access for students who have a Bachelor in Political Science from any Swiss university. For the other degrees, evaluation of application, as far as you have equivalent of 60 credits in political science before applying. Otherwise, you can always, so we leave open the door to everybody, actually. There is a possible admission via complementary credits to be obtained either prior or in parallel to the master. In prior means that actually, if you come, for example, from chemistry, you can apply, you can be admitted, but they will tell you, for example, well, first you need to attend some 4 or 5, depending on the case, courses in the bachelor, our Bachelor in Political Science, so to level you up for the Master in Political Science, and then you can enter the program the Master Program in Political Science. Obviously, this means adding a year to your studies. Or you can be admitted, but in parallel, while you are following the master, you also have to attend usually 2, maximum 3 courses, often are methods courses, but not only, in our bachelor. So again, this is to level you up, actually, if you do not come from political science in your bachelor studies. The important point is that the door, I would say, is open to everybody in principle. Registration, finally, the application online is via the university website. This is the link. I can share I can share the links later on. And in any case, I think this is recorded now. So you will need a letter of motivation, a CV, copy of diplomas, copy of transcripts, the standard stuff. Deadline is 28 February. Contact information, contact myself for more scientific aspects, more administrative aspects to our students or academic advisor, Gaëtan Clavien. And you can see the email here. He knows everything. So if you need to ask something, I would suggest you ask him, especially about admission, formal stuff, and so on. More information on the dedicated website, which are actually in the process of revising. It's still a little bit work in progress, but most of the information is already there, including a direct link for the admission and information about the admission. I would like to spend my last 2 or 3 minutes to tell you about something else that our faculty offers to the master students, and not only to the master students, which is the complementary certificates. These are quite new for curricula or degrees that we introduced 4 or 5 years ago. They are complementary to the master in principle, but they can also be taken as such by themselves. And they are actually 30 credits. And the interesting part is that you have the possibility of double validation up to 12 credits, so 2 courses. So the whole 30 credits, it's 5 courses that you have to attend and pass the exams, of course. And 2 courses can be double validated. What does it mean? It means that if you already follow or attend 2 courses for your master in political science, social movements and political parties, for example, and if these courses are included in the list of courses of the certificate, you can validate them both for the master and for the certificate, which is an interesting formula, I would say. What are the certificates that our faculty offers at present? There are 5 or 6: citizenship studies, visual studies, geomatics, quantitative methods for social sciences, quite popular, I think, qualitative methods for social science. So 2 methods certificates and 3 more thematic ones. I underlined in red citizenship studies. Why? For 2 reasons. One reason is that I created, and I'm the director of citizenship studies, the certificate on citizenship study. But also, secondly, because this is the most directly linked to political science. When you speak about political science, you speak about participation, you speak about social movements, you speak about political theories of citizenship, the role of citizenship, and so on and so on. So that's why I think if you follow the master in political science, you have a good opportunity to also do the certificate in citizenship studies. So thank you very much for your attention. I will now move to the breakout room. I will be there in 2 or 3 minutes after a short break. And if you have questions, you can join me there. Thank you very much.